Hey guys, it's Matt. Today we're going to talk about a really unique statue that brings the 2D world of illustration into the 3D world of sculpture. It does it really well, and it does it from one of my favorite artists, J. Scott Campbell. This is the Alice in Wonderland from the Fairytale Fantasies line by Sideshow Collectibles. Let's get into it. We have got to take a minute to talk about this fantastic box. Now, this Alice in Wonderland statue is a little bit smaller than some of the premium formats or other maquettes that you might be familiar with from Sideshow, so it comes in a smaller box. That's made up for by some incredibly intricate and beautiful artwork. We have J. Scott Campbell's illustration of the Fairytale Fantasies Alice in Wonderland. She's a pin-up style adult rendition of the classical look of Alice in Wonderland. All around her, she's got this beautiful graphic design treatment that harkens back to the Victorian era from when the story was originally set and written. We've got J. Scott Campbell's Fairytale Fantasies logo. This is actually his logo that he designed. And then we have Alice in Wonderland in a similar font down here. The Sideshow statue logoing, and then a really cool diamond checkerboard motif all through this graded blue background. This Victorian treatment is continued on the sides and the back. We have this really neat teacup design. And then on the top, we have the Fairytale Fantasies logo repeated. And then on the bottom, we have the number match labeling. This is number 594 of 4,000. This is not the exclusive edition. That came with an art print. This is the regular edition, and it is a rather large edition, so that's something to be aware of. Now let's start with assembly with this incredibly detailed base. This is the largest of the Fairytale Fantasies pieces that's been put out so far, and it's probably the most intricate. The statue is only made up of 4 pieces, but that doesn't necessarily mean it isn't complex. The base of this statue is almost a figure in and of itself. We've got the Cheshire Cat resting in a cloud of vapor up against Alice's mushroom. On the bottom, we have a relatively simple placard that's in gold color, and it says J. Scott Campbell's Fairytale Fantasies Alice in Wonderland statue. It has the same numbering, 594 of 4,000. We have this cloud of vapor made up of semi-translucent polyresin, and it actually has some airbrushing here where the mushroom would be showing through. It gives a really good sense of depth to this vapor that the Cheshire Cat is resting in. He's part of the same casting, it looks like to me, but he's painted in an opaque color. He's got this fantastic grin where we don't really know what mischief he's up to. And he's got this great teal color with the purple striping, and that continues all the way around onto the back. His fur is relatively simplistic in its sculpt. It's not over detailed, but that matches well with the illustration style that this statue is based on. Next, we have Alice's body. Now, most of the statue is contained right here in this piece. The only thing that isn't included is her arms. Now, this Alice in Wonderland is from a line of pinup art, so she's pretty sexy. She's depicted as an older woman, and she has a sexy outfit on that shows plenty. The edge of her panties here has a little ruffling on it, and that ruffle continues all the way around this dress. She has a large bow on the back here, and this bow is actually made of what feels like a flexible PVC. It's not PolyStone like the rest of the statue is. The same can be said for the bow on her head. She slots into the base with a very large, directionally matched key that goes into the mushroom right on top and is held in place with a magnet. The last step in putting together this statue is inserting the arms. These are soft keyed arms, so the magnet will pull them into their sockets, and it should fit up just right. Make sure you have the right and the left arm correctly oriented here, because those magnets will hold them in place, and her thumbs are very small, so it is possible to put this statue together wrong. Now, if you're collecting the Fairytale Fantasies or you like fantasy art overall, this is the one to get from this line. This is my favorite piece. It's the largest piece, and it's the most complex piece. We have Little Mermaid, we have Tinkerbell, and now we have Alice in Wonderland. Okay, let's get into my overall impressions of this statue. You've got 2 large characters, both in Cheshire Cat and in Alice here. You've got this large base in the mushroom. You have this translucent cloud of vapor at the bottom, and you've got elements like her PVC bow, and then this hyper detailed sculpt in the areas where it needs to be, like her ruffles, her bows, And then you have this graded painting all through. So her dress is completely shaded. So all around the edges, you've got this darkening, and in the striations of her dress here, you have this deeply shaded paint. That continues up into her hair, where you've got this light, soft shading in her blonde hair that gives a real great sense of dimension and depth. This statue is only $389. That's an incredible value for all that you get and all the detail that you get. So my overall impression is definitely colored by the fact that this is a pretty good value for the money. They've done a fantastic job of bringing J. Scott Campbell's distinctive style to life in this line of statues, and Alice is no exception. Certain things like the overextension of the pointed toe, the arched back, the expression with the large eyes, all of those are hallmarks of J. Scott Campbell's style. He does have a very strong pinup style, and it works really well with this character. The only thing that I think is a little bit odd for this statue is bringing the 2D billowing dress into the 3D world. They've had to make some interesting compromises for how this would look. The front of this dress would be much, much shorter than the back, and that is actually a style for dress, and maybe that's what they're going for here. It's just something that I noticed. No one else who's seen this statue has mentioned that, but it's something that I thought would be interesting to point out as a compromise that's made for bringing something that's 2D into the 3D world. J. Scott Campbell has a lot of influence over the design and implementation of these statues, and I know that the Sideshow team goes back and forth quite a bit with him. His sketching style is very clean and precise, and that comes through in this piece. So if you're a fan of J. Scott Campbell's work, this is a great representation of it to go along with your collection. There's little details in this piece that I didn't catch at first. So Alice is holding two things in her hands here. She's actually got pieces of the mushroom. The one side makes her grow larger, the other side makes her smaller. At first, I didn't notice that these pieces are actually torn out of the mushroom, both on her left and on her right. It's little details like that that bring a lot of delight into looking at statues. The Cheshire Cat's face has a lot more dimension in it than comes out in photos. His eyes, nose, and mouth are all very glossy, while the rest of his fur is kind of a satin sheen, so it gives a lot of realism to this. That difference in texture actually continues through to Alice's socks and her shoes. Her shoes are a very shiny patent leather, and her socks are more satin. Her skin tone overall is very well done, subtly shaded, not too pink, not too pale. I think she's just great. She's also wearing this large heart around her neck, and that harkens back to the Queen of Hearts. So you've got all of these little details and storytelling bits included all through this piece. So, is this statue a must-buy? I'm going to say that yes, it is, if you are an adult collector looking for a piece to round out your collection, if you're a fan of J. Scott Campbell's work, if you're a fan of Alice in Wonderland overall, or if you're looking for one Fairytale Fantasies piece that you'd like to include in your collection. To me, this is the one to have. It's a lot of fun, it brings a smile to people's faces, and the collector's edition is still available on Sideshow. The exclusive is sold out, however, the only thing you're missing out on in that edition is an art print that's about this big that is included that you can display with this Alice in Wonderland. Otherwise, the sculpts are exactly the same. So jump on Sideshow, search for Alice in Wonderland, and she'll pop right up. Happy collecting!
Hey, did you like that video? Be sure to subscribe by clicking the S icon on your screen and click that bell icon to be notified whenever a new video is posted. If you'd like more info on the items featured in this video, click the link provided under Product Info. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to let your geek side show.